Hey guys, welcome back. This time I want to go over the books that we read during our 2 weeks of a color theme unit. I do have them in like 3 different stacks. One of them is pretty much books that go over like almost all the colors of the rainbow. These right here are kind of like books that talk about like color mixing. That pile right there is pretty much like color specific. I'm gonna go ahead and start off with these just because these were really cute. All 3 I would definitely get again if we ever did another toddler preschool color themed unit. The first one is new to us. It's the first time we actually ever read it. It's called Mix It Up, and pretty much it's kind of like an interactive story. You are going through it. It kind of tells you what to do. Put your hand, and then that happens. You kind of like shake it up, and then like the color mixes and everything, and it's like a really cool, fun, interactive book. The next one is called Animal Colors. This one was really silly. It's also talking about like mixing colors, but you're also mixing like 2 different animals, and you end up getting like a whole new animal, you know. So saying this out loud, everyone was like laughing. They were like, what is this? And it's just a really great way to kind of like talk about color mixing. You're mixing animals, so it was like a cute little fun read. This one, we actually used to own it until it fell in a bucket of water. I don't know how it happened, but we did used to own it, so now we're forced to kind of like rent it from the library. But it's a story following 3 little white mice that stumble upon paint. You know, they end up dipping their little feet in little puddles. They end up mixing everything, and they just discover what happens when you combine 2 colors together. It's a cute little read. I would definitely recommend it. We used to have the board book version, but this is like the paper version. Now this pile is pretty much a pile of books that talk about the rainbow. It has multiple colors in there, and it's just a really good read. This is one that we own. It's called The Color of His Own. It follows a little chameleon that acknowledges every other animal having a color of its own except for him, because like he changes colors, you know, and he's kind of sad about it. And then he ends up like meeting another chameleon, and they have an idea of like sticking together, because if they stick together, there's always going to be 2 of them of the same color. So it's just a cute little read with its own little story. Definitely a great one, and one I would recommend. So this is our first time getting this one. It's colors, but I saw it and I thought it was the cutest little thing. It has 2 pages dedicated to each color. It's silly, it's creative, and it's like a nice quick read. So this is another one that's a really good one just to have in there. If you're looking for something bilingual, this would be a great one, Colores de la Vida. It pretty much has pictures and the color in English and Spanish, and that's it. Super simple. It's easy to read. It's a quick read, and it's not too much, you know, it's like just right. And it has lots of little colors, even like the gold, the silvers, everything. But this is a great one if you're looking for something that's both English and Spanish. Now this one, pretty much we ended up getting it just because I know that colors have a lot to do with food, and this is a great one. It has real pictures of real food in here, 2 pages dedicated to each color, and it's just a great way to also like learn about new foods, recognize some that you own, and just a great way to see colors in our everyday life. Fright Train was a really cute read. This is like our 2nd time or 3rd time getting it actually. And this one pretty much just talks about a little train. It just mentions the colors. It's a super quick read, but you can do an activity with this. Like if you have trains of your own, or if you have like little boxes, you can definitely try to copy and mimic the Fright Train and like make it yourself. So it's like fun. It's really fun. And of course, Brown Bear, Brown Bear. We actually own this one. This one's ours, but it's like an interactive board book. This one, you go through everything. You go through each animal, each color. It's definitely an iconic book. I feel like everyone has this one. It's definitely one you want to add to like a colors theme unit. But this one is probably one of the first few that my little ones kind of memorized. But this one's just always a great one to have, whether you're focusing on colors or animals. And then this is another one that we got to like talk about food. This one is like every color soup. At the very end, it gives you a recipe to actually make this soup yourself, but pretty much big, beautiful pictures. It has ingredients. It talks about everything. Just one word, one big picture, and that's it. Super quick, easy read. And then at the very, very end, you have like directions on how to make your own every color soup. So this one's a cool one too. Now, this stack has, I believe, like 1 or 2 books that we wouldn't get again, but I'll tell you which ones at the end. This one is a color specific. This one's talking about the color purple. It's pretty much following the story of like a little boy who's trying to go to sleep, but he kind of like gets lost. So he ends up like drawing a whole adventure. And then towards the very end, he remembers how his window looks like. So he ends up drawing it, and then he ends up going back into his bedroom and going to sleep. But this one is color specific. Another one that's color specific is 10 Black Dots. We also ended up reading this one for like our math curriculum, but it just happened to like match at the same time. But this one is pretty much just saying what you can do with dots, and it counts up. It goes all the way up to 10, what you can do with 3 dots, 4 dots, 10 dots, all that good stuff. And then at the very end, you end up counting it like a little graph. And this one was a good one to do like an activity out of, because we ended up cutting out our own dots, and we ended up measuring things with those dots, like a controller, or shoes, or feet, you know. So this one's a good one to do an activity with as well. This one, I don't know if I would get again. One, it's interactive, but it's too long, but it's not really like a fun interactive book, you know. It's pretty much just following a little dot going up and down, a little squiggle, you know. I mean, the kids enjoyed it, but I just felt like it dragged on too long, you know. But the kids, they just followed everything with their little fingers, both of them at the same time. They each took turns, and we just flipped through it, but I don't know if I would get it again, like, at all. I'm just being honest, but it's a cute little read, you know, if you want something, interactive, but it's too long. This one is a great one. It focuses on the color green. It's actually like our second time getting it, and this author actually has like a series on I think 2 or 3 other colors, but pretty much it has like a little cutout on each page, and when you flip it, it's something else. Like right here you have like the little bubbles of the sea turtle, but then over here it's like part of like the little lemon. So it's definitely a good little read. It just focuses on the color green, different shades, big pictures, like 1 word, 1 or 2 words on each page. But this one is if you're looking for something color specific. Here's another one. We actually own this one. It talks about like the rainbow in it, which is why I pulled it out, but I wouldn't really like pull it out again for like a colors unit. But it just talks about like a little story that happens, you know, around the world and everything, but it doesn't really focus on colors, just like the first few pages. But I just pulled it out, and it was like a book we read, but I wouldn't put this in a color theme unit, a rainbow theme, or anything like that. This one is iconic as well. It is Pete the Cat. Let's just say the first time my kids read this, it was like 2 years ago. We had to check out the whole Pete the Cat series because the kids just fell in love. I love the rhyming side of it. This one focuses on the color white, but the shoes end up changing each time he steps on something, and it has like a really cool tune, you know, like I love my brown shoes, I love my brown shoes, you know. And it's just a great fun read. You're gonna fall in love with this series if you get it. And then the rainbow fish. So this one, I believe when we did it, it was to focus on like the color blue, but an activity we did with this is like, I believe we colored our own rainbow fish, and we got like a little piece of like tin foil and added like the little shimmery part, you know. But this is like a little fish. You guys know the story. Towards the end, he ends up sharing and giving away all his little scales, and he ends up being happier than ever once he was left with like nothing, pretty much, you know. But this one was just a great read. It's like our second or third time getting this one as well, but this one's a good one too. Out of all these, I would definitely get the fish, Pete the Cat. I wouldn't do this one again. I would do green. I wouldn't do this one. I would do the 10 Black Dots, and I would do Harold and the Purple Crayon. So this is our book list. This is everything we read in the last 2 weeks of a book unit. We usually do like 2 or 3 books a day depending on like how much they want to read, but this is what we have. This is everything we read. Definitely let me know if you guys have any of these, or if you guys have read them, or any book recommendations that you guys would have, just in case we want to do this again and we want to bring on like more books. All right, bye you guys. Thank you.